Good morning, everybody.
You want to switch with her? No, it's okay.
How's everybody today? This bright and early. How's coverings going for everybody? Good? Woo. 2 more days. Thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your very busy day and very busy week to join us today. I am Lesley Goddin, your moderator for this session, and I have been directing, curating, and creating content for TileLetter, TileLetter.com, and TileLetter Artisan magazines, published by the National Tile Contractors Association for over 18 years now. And my hair was much darker when I started. Today is an opportunity for us to connect, celebrate, learn, and uphold each other as women in this industry that we love, and in the culture in general. I mean, who wasn't touched in some way by the amazing success of Taylor Swift and the Barbie movie last year, or for that matter, Emma Stone's performance in Poor Things, which actually I have not seen yet, or America Ferrera's Barbie speech, just icons of the culture. And speaking of iconic women, I want to thank Demi Clark. Demi, where are you? Are you here somewhere? Ah, there you are. For her inspiring talk at the Ignite Change Rising Together Women's Breakfast that just wrapped in the Women's Lounge. So before I move on, I want to remind you to have your badge scanned if you'd like a certificate of attendance, and please silence your phones. So for 12 years, the NTCA has published a Women in Tile issue of TileLetter to celebrate women. And we have a few copies on this kind of center table, which we don't have many left, but that's okay, because you can go to TileLetter.com and search for our March issue and discover the powerful women that we have in our issue. Last year, NTCA formed the Women in Tile group to offer opportunities and initiatives to support and uplift women in the tile industry, particularly female tile contractors. Elizabeth Lambert, where are you? There you are, of Lambert Tile and Stone is chairing this group. And by the way, she will be honored with the NTCA's Tile Person of the Year award tonight. She is the, yes! She is the 4th woman in 77 years to receive this award. We are partnering with some existing groups like Women in Stone and learning from groups like Women of the Flooring Business and Wi-Fi Women in the Floor Covering Industry, who have been at this a little bit longer than we have. We're excited about the women-centric initiatives that are taking place and grateful for all who make this possible, dedicated women and allies. So I want to thank the men who are here in the room for joining us today. So, case in point, next March 8th on International Women's Day is a historic event, an all-women certified tile installer test administered by CTEF and held at Carpet and Tile Warehouse in Vero Beach, Florida. This is a first-of-its-kind focused opportunity for female tile installers to get credentialed via an industry-recognized exam. If you've been waiting to take your CTI test, don't let this opportunity pass you by. And a big thanks to Debbie Winter and her husband Robert, CTI number 1565, for providing the location, and Michelle Winters of Women of the Flooring Business for media support. So Debbie and Michelle both have postcards with information, okay, Michelle's here, about the test that you can find out more about after the panel. So you can take one of these home. And oh, by the way, sponsors are welcome. So step up and make history. So before we unleash the wisdom and experience of our panelists, I want to give you a wee bit of statistics. The share of women in construction workforce is holding steady at about 11%. It's 10.8 to be exact. And it's been hovering there since about 2020. But the percentage of women in managerial and chief executive positions are all up from 2022. More good news is this chart from Fixer.com that shows a positive sweep in the number of women in construction industry occupations since 2012, a 60.5% increase from about 802,000 to nearly 1.3 million. The not so good news is that in terms of pay, there's still work to be done. March 12th of this year marked Equal Pay Day, which symbolizes how far into the year women in general must work to earn what men earned the previous year. And the calendar on the right shows that for other communities and women of color, Equal Pay Day comes even later in the year. In 2023, women made about 84% of what men earned in the same job. This has risen 2% since 2013, but we still have a way to go. But today, we are having a sit-down with our powerful panelists to discover what their experiences in this industry have been. And when I started poring over their accomplishments and influences, I realized that this session could easily stretch into a 5-hour-long conference. Everybody's going to stay for that, right? 5 hours? Okay. We only have an hour to soak it all in, so we're going to meet them and get started. Megan Renk, relatively new to the tile contracting trade, Megan owns Mosaix installations and services in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. She's been a tile contractor for 5 years, rising through professional and personal challenges to learn the trade and excel at it. A single mother living independently, whose son is with us today, she is out in homes, talking to people constantly as a witness to what women can do. She says she's able to show women that you don't have to be afraid to get dirty or too shy to take a stand in order to survive. Her grit and growth, professionally and personally, has been recognized by her peers and the industry, and she was inducted into the Rock Stars Hall of Fame Monday afternoon. Congratulations. Woo! It was her inspiration that ignited the NTCA's Little Hands, Little Tiles kit to encourage and engage kids in the art and craft of mosaic making and get them thinking about a career in the trade. And if you put your card in the bowl, that's again in that center table, we're going to have a drawing for 3 of these kits at the end of our talk. So put your card in there. Megan's favorite quote is one of her own making: invite yourself to the table, and it's her version of be so good they can't ignore you. So Megan, we look forward to hearing more from you later in our talk.
Thank you.
Next up is Mercedes Austin, who is the founder and CEO at Minneapolis's Mercury Mosaics, which she founded in 2002. She's also the founder and mosaic artist at Mosaic Candy Shop, which I'd love you to explain more about later, Mercedes. A serial optimist, she describes her company as a bakery for tile, with a robust team that guides clients through the process of bringing their visions to life with exceptional hospitality. She sees her purpose as leading a handmade tile revival, which celebrates the perfection of imperfection that Mosaix embody. Mercury Mosaix just expanded its team with appointments of 3 women in key leadership positions. And Mercedes believes if we can embrace collaboration over competition and focus on the vision instead of gender, anything is possible and there is enough business for everyone. She's inspired by this quote by Julia Child: find something you are passionate about and stay tremendously interested in it. So we look forward to hearing more about your journey through the industry. Angie Weber. Oh, we're just skipping one. Over. Angie Weber is a trailblazing entrepreneur and a dynamo in the tile and design industry. As the owner of Nico, Tati Designs, named for her mom and dad, she curates creativity and expertise, specializing in social marketing and event planning. She's the administrator for the Texas Tile Posse Facebook group. And I am personally, sorry about that. I am personally grateful to her for translating TileLetter's technical stories into Spanish to enable Spanish-speaking tile contractors to benefit from standards-based technical information. It's been a pleasure working with you on that. At Coverings 2020, she won a CID award in conjunction with Details Tile for her New York-inspired bathroom project. And this year, Angie is a Coverings ambassador, supporting those new to the show. She tells me she is also a very involved member in the Women of Flooring Business Group. In fact, Michelle Winters, co-founder of the group and Angie's friend and mentor, called her a relentless advocate for others, a woman who takes care of reputations in absentia, and a true embodiment of women supporting women. Angie's favorite quote is, and I hope I say this right, mejor sola que mal acompañada. Is that okay?
Mejor sola que mal acompañada.
She says it better than me. Which means better to be alone than with bad company, right? Okay. So thank you for helping to raise the voice for women in this industry. Crosby Hall. Crosby is the Chief Administrative Officer and fourth-generation owner of her family business, Louisville Tile, a regional Midwestern tile distributor that's continuing to grow. In her 19 years at Louisville Tile, Crosby has honed her expertise in human resources, learning and development, marketing, and customer engagement. Crosby was deeply influenced by her mom, a shining example of a professional woman in a male-dominated industry. In her late 20s, a female business coach helped her to articulate a 5-year growth path to achieve her goals, which you accomplished all of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
It might have taken a little longer than 5 years.
That's okay. At Louisville Tile, Crosby is dedicated to leading with empathy and vulnerability, which helps her connect with team members and solve problems. And women are in many key roles that were once dominated by men, creating a holistic balance in the company. Crosby's favorite quote is actually a song lyric from Cheering You On by Forkigan Country. Gracious in the fight of it and humble at the height of it. We look forward to learning more about your path, Crosby. Raven Hoffman. Raven is the senior estimator at Syverson Tile and Stone's installation division, based in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. She is also the National Association of Women in National Vice President. With NAWIC since 2013, she now serves her local chapter as parliamentarian, chairing several committees, and volunteering at NAWIC community events designed to engage the future workforce. Raven had an early start in non-traditional roles, and with encouragement from family members, was repairing equipment by 8 years old. Oh, wow. She worked construction jobs in high school and college, was an estimator for a GC after college, and then came to Syverson in 2000. At NAWIC, she found a supportive, encouraging community of friends that helped her discover her voice, bolster her confidence, and empower her to act as an advocate for herself and others. And she's running for president.
President-elect, yes.
President-elect. So vote. The quote that has meaning for Raven is, "Not all wander are lost," by J.R.R. Tolkien. And we're eager to hear more about your path and your vision for women in this industry. So each one of these women has followed a unique path to get to where she is today. The mythological construct of the hero's journey is the classic tale of a hero who goes on an adventure, is victorious and in a decisive crisis, and comes home changed or transformed. It's the basis for movies like Star Wars, plays and novels, but it is a universal experience. Because we are women, we're going to explore our panelists' individual heroes' journeys, illustrated in this cool chart created by NTCA's art director, Michelle Chapman. So in 5 minutes or less, our panelists are each going to summarize their journeys, touching on what spurred them to embark, help they received, challenges along the way, transformations they experienced, and wisdom they returned home with, which is truly a task for Wonder Women indeed. Okay, so Megan, starting with you. 7 years ago, you embarked on a complete life change that led you to this industry in a brand new life. Can you share some of those details with us?
Can I borrow some minutes? Is that okay?
I don't know. You guys got to work that out.
the Shero's Journey is a book by Joseph Campbell, and it's something that I actually follow very closely, and so I'm very familiar with this. My journey started at the end of a really bad relationship, and I ended up in my stepfather's basement, and I was there for 7 months drinking, and I was a very, very bad alcoholic, and that was probably dealing with a lot from my mother drinking herself to death when I was pregnant. And so I wasn't able to cope with a lot of those things. And then I found this man, and he kind of filled those voids that I needed at the time. And then when that ended, you know, the only thing that I had was my son. And for the life of me, I will live for that little boy until the day of my last breath. So I decided that I'm not going to tolerate what I'm doing to myself anymore. And it actually wasn't my decision. My stepfather evicted me from his basement. And now you might think that that's kind of cruel, but when I saw it, I was like, I'm not even upset. I'm kind of impressed. Because, like, you know, you're like, get out. I'm tired of you doing this to yourself. But that's what the hero's journey is all about, is there's this person, and they're down, and they're just a normal person, but then something has to light that fire. And so he knew that if he lit that fire and he said, look, girl, you got a month, and that ain't even on me. That's on the state of Idaho. So you have a month to get out. And I called that afternoon. It was a Friday. I called. I looked up on Craigslist, and I was like, you know what's burning in me? I need a job. I need some money. Tile. I don't know why. My ex-boyfriend did tile not very well. So good thing. I'd be like, that don't look like that, does it? I mean, he'd be like, you don't know. You don't know.
You know now.
I feel like I do, though. So you know, I called someone. I was on Craigslist, and I saw this ad, and it said, no experience necessary. And I'm like, boom. That's my jammy jam. And so I called, and it happened to be his old boss. And he remembered who I was. He said, girl, you're unforgettable. So he said, buy a trowel, some knee pads, a 5-in-1, and you get your butt to the job site on Monday. And I said, I'm going to be there. So I got a babysitter for 2 weeks, and I started tile, and I mean, yeah. That's it.
You never went back?
I never went back. But yeah, I got out of my stepfather's basement. I got a little house in a month. I had a car within another month. I walked 5 miles to work to even be able to afford any of this stuff. When I got into my first little place, it was the daycare owner's side house that she just didn't want to rent it to someone that was, you know, on drugs or something. She's like, please be in this house. And I've been in there 5 years now. She's like, are you ever going to leave? But, you know, I moved into that house with nothing but hope and my son, and I said, I will not live like my mother did. I won't do this, and I need money. I definitely am not going to rely on a man. And tile was, I saw the money that my ex was starting to, unfortunately, not make well, but I saw the potential, and so I was like, that's it, because I wanted to start the business with him, and I wanted to do that with him. And so I said, you know, that's going to be it. So in my house, I'd take the car seat out of the car and set it in the house so I could sit down, because I didn't have nothing but a car seat and a coffee pot. I'd be cutting hot dogs. I'd be cutting hot dogs up and cooking them on the coffee pot, but I'd be going and doing tile. And paychecks started coming in. I started getting a little bit more, but then I started recognizing that the guy that I was working with was not the one that I wanted. And so I started realizing that he wasn't doing things right, and so I transferred to another person. And then through the grace of him, he actually said, I see you on the inside. I see what you become. You're not going to be what you need with me. We need to get you out. So he helped me get licensed in my own business, helped me get into new construction so I could start earning my way and paying my dues. 2 years of new construction. I got out last year on my own, and I haven't actually had to do any of the stuff since. I went from charging $5 a square foot to $20 a square foot.
Yeah. Close up that pay gap. Yep. So you've also done a lot of research into psychology for the last 6 years, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that's enhanced your life?
So the Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell, I'm telling you, it was what I read when I first started looking into psychology, because I was just down. I was just so down. And but I also learned another theory. It's the 10,000-hour rule. And so it says, you know, if you spend 10,000 hours in anything that you really love, passionate dedication, though, not just 10,000 hours flipping McDonald's burgers. You got to be passionate dedication for 10,000 hours, or 10 years is what it equates to. And so if we keep this rigid schedule, 10,000 hours. I've been in the industry for 6 years. I've studied psychology for 7. So I'm about 7,000, or 5 years. I've been studying psychology for 6. So I'm about 6,000 hours into this. And it only actually started hitting me after about 4,000 hours because I needed all the theory. I needed to retrain my brain. I needed my brain to start seeing that domestic violence was not something that we need in our lives in order for me to be able to pay my bills. And I needed to be able to see that there were things that I was not putting boundaries on, that I needed to put boundaries on because I was suffocating because people were putting me down like that. And I felt on the inside, I was like, this isn't right. And you know, and then with men, with my relationships, and then with my relationships with my family and things like that, I really just didn't know who I was. And so coming out of that relationship and learning tile, I said, I just want to reform myself. And so I started that 10,000 hour rule. But the thing I want to point out, if I may, how many of you in the room, raise your hands if you've had something that you've put that 10,000 hours in. Let's see that 10,000 hours, right? 10,000 hours, thank you. Now, my point was, I wanted something that I could wake up, I get out of high school, I go to college or university, and I get that 10,000 hours, and I put all my work in. But then when I go home at the end of the day, I'm still broken inside. So I realized, you know where I got to put that 10,000 hours in? Right in here. How many people have spent that 10,000 hours on yourselves? How many?
Yeah.
There are a couple hands, but not as many as your career. Now, why is that? Why are we putting our 10,000 hours into something else? When we have to do that thing, we're the ones that have to do it. We're the ones that have to be around everyone. So why are we not putting the 10,000 hours into our careers as much as, or into ourselves as much as we are?
The best investment.
Yes,
right?
and so that's where I'm sitting right now, is I'm on that 10,000 hour journey to find myself, and about 6,000 hours in, and man, it's getting good.
Awesome.
So,
yes. What does it mean to you briefly to be a rock star? To be
I don't know. It's too much. It's too much because it's weird, and I don't socialize at all. If anybody knows, I don't date and I don't socialize. I go home, I'm a troll in my little tiny hut, and I do the social media thing because it's nice and easy from my couch. And but I'm ADHD, and so it's hard for me. However, I have been kept down my entire life, and when I hit 30, I said, no more. And so I don't, I'm just going to take that, and I don't really care if I have anxiety about it. The anxiety came from people telling me I couldn't do it. And so when I actually looked and started working on those 10,000 hours and said, you know what, I can do all this stuff, they couldn't do it. But that's their problem. That ain't my problem. So when I stepped out of my own way is when I started to be able to make the connections and make the transactions that I needed emotionally and in my soul, those soul transactions. And that, the passion, not even the work, but the passion is why I feel awesome. I won the award.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So before we get into Mercedes' story, I want to point out that the image in the upper right in this slide shows the Mercury Mosaics team working on the project Nourish by Diani Whitehawk, and that's installed at the Whitney Museum of American Art in New York City. This is an amazing collaboration that won a special recognition CID award last night for women in tile. So that's amazing. So Mercedes, you started your journey as a studio artist, right? With a passion for artisan tile. But the landscape for the product and for women is very different than back then than what it is today. So what parts of your journey to becoming chief idea baker at Mercury Mosaix stand out?
Yeah, that's a very good point, is when you say back then, because when I tell people I started Mercury Mosaix 22 years ago, they're like, were you 5? And I'm somebody who's extremely optimistic. I have some similar pathways to you. Is I actually was a stereotypical artist. I had practice in many mediums and typical chemical addiction. And what I noticed for me is when I would go out and party and talk about what I was doing when I was very early on in my tile career, is I noticed I started to have a sense of dignity, and I never would have thought it would be in tile. So tile was the first thing that I actually found that I could focus on artistically. At the time, I was working for another handmade tile company, and I'd come to coverings for the first time. And I remember just being enamored at what was possible in tile. I saw a woman in a nude bodysuit being painted with grout lines against a massive wall in the tile pavilion of Italy. And I was like, what is this tile industry? Like, I must know more. So I actually I've been sober for 19 years. I've had my company. Thank you. I didn't have any time for that funny business because there was a lot of work to be done. So I actually have really not participated in coverings for a very long time because I've had my nose down to the grind because a lot of people questioned if I could even build anything, because Mercury Mosaix actually started with a $2,000 tax refund. I sold off my jazz CD collection, and I selected like the Vistaprint option to get the free business cards where they put their website on the back, and this was before social media. So I started really focusing on figuring out what on earth I was going to sell, and that started with working with showrooms and distributors. And just honestly, when someone would ask me if we had something, I would acknowledge that we did, and that was like the thing that we were rushing to figure out. And I say we, I mean me and my poor ex-husband. Obviously, I started this with somebody, and he graced me with the last name that I have, Austin. So fast forward. So I worked with showrooms and distributors for about 10 years and really built up a really simple standard product line. And I really likened creating a standard product line and really building customer reviews and satisfaction off of the game of operator that I learned in kindergarten. And that was somebody ordering a product and having like 6 or so people in between and the end user getting what they thought they ordered. Honestly, in artisan tile, I think that is a feat in and of itself. So just like mastering getting the end user what they thought they ordered in a very artisan custom type product was a 10-year journey. In the next 10 years, like one of my goals was to make it on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing privately held companies in America. And we've been on the list twice as a handmade tile maker.
Yes. Woo!
So the crossover of us working on like primarily residential through showrooms to working in commercial led to us creating a lot of really amazing custom mosaics for retailers like Lululemon, Starbucks, and even P.F. Chang's with their expansion into the Middle East. So just a lot of international logistics. And I like to say we are a bakery for tile because we're still making it artisan style, but we're also using your walls that are 30 feet to 50 feet wide and sometimes 3-story buildings tall to be our coloring page. So the most exciting thing that I think we make are the things that people don't know how to articulate in regular tile. So I really like going outside the lines of typical geometry and figuring out how to solve, like bringing someone's artwork to life through tile. Like that's my favorite thing.
Cool. And talk about a little bit about your collaborative vision for women, you know, for the industry.
I think the magic of Mercury Mosaix really started when we started collaborating with female designers, and that really, I think we were a very traditional tile company probably until about 7 years ago, and it was when we started partnering with just local designers in my area, and they would maybe think they wanted one thing and they'd have like a few shades of white in mind, and they would let me bend the rules. And it was through building trusted relationships. And I think when people ask for something that they think is safe in tile, like I can't tell you how many times in the beginning part of my career I was warned to supply people with something colorful and just worrying about the resale value. And now I feel like I want to always tee up like Jay-Z when I see my brand name listed in real estate amenities. Yeah. Like it was, because I actually, being in Minnesota and being based in the Midwest, I feel like we had to expand into Miami and LA and New York for people to understand that it was okay to use color and tile. Like it was just like exhausting. I didn't want to make Northwood scenes. I didn't want just to be in beiges. So it's like we had to grow nationally, and then people assumed like when we were a 6-person company that we were a 100-person company. Because I think, branding and really caring about the aesthetic of your company can really portray something much bigger than you are, which came with a lot of challenges because being then told, like, you guys made us think that you were a 100-person company, and I never said that. We're 40 now, but like when I was like a 6-person company, there were a lot of distributors that made a lot of assumptions just based on the care of our product and our brand and look.
Cool. And you have a real focus on repurposing some of your, I don't like to call it waste, it's the excess materials. Can you tell us about that, and how does it tie in with Mosaic Candy Shop?
Yeah, so absolutely. During the last 4 years, there's been such a disruption of our normal materials that we've worked with, so a lot of things that we've made have not turned out the way they were supposed to. So there were 2 options: go into a corner and curl up and cry with all of the waste we were creating, or figure something else out with it. So I maybe gave myself a little time out to have that corner and the cry. But so now we've turned it into, so we've partnered with commercial water jet cutters, and we actually use our waste and recut it into different shapes. In fact, that Whitney Museum of Art mural has 40% upcycled waste materials. I should rebrand the word waste because our waste is gorgeous. We just don't want to take the risk to ship it to Philly and get it sent back. So we actually created a sister brand called Mosaic Candy Shop, and they're pre-designed kits with pre-cut pieces. It's like the Hello Fresh of Mosaic, where there's pre-portioned mastic and pre-portioned grout and your own PPE and a template and me on a video walking you through piecing together a mosaic. And I kind of joke around, it's like, I'd rather work on that full time. But it's actually what's kept me from going insane over the last 4 years with all of the changes. So I'm somebody that channels my anxiety and nervous energy into another project. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
It looks like so much fun. I did watch the video, and I was like, I'm going to do that, So go to the website. Check it out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. So Crosby, your mom and your business coach were powerful mentors in your life. Tell us a little bit about how they helped to empower you and set a course in Louisville Tile that in turn empowers women.
Yeah, so I grew up watching my mom be a working professional, full-time, working person, and also being an awesome mom at home, to have a really great role model. And she was in an environment that was all male executives and holding her own, and on job sites, remodeling showrooms, holding her own, going toe-to-toe with contractors. And I would get to travel with her on spring break or fall breaks in the summers. And I just loved it, just tagging along with her. And when I went to college, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. So I went to business school, and then I graduated, and I still had no idea what I wanted to do. So I started working at our family business and ended up shadowing one of our VPs for a while, ended up in HR. And our family business is a little different because we had non-family executives since like the mid-90s. So even though my mom was there, she wasn't in a typical leadership role. And so after I'd been there for a while, I was really looking for somebody to mentor me and kind of help bring me into a leadership role eventually. And I was just really struggling to get somebody to kind of take my hand and pull me up or give me some kind of guidance. And so I've got in touch with a family business center and this really awesome coach. Her name was Kathleen, and she coached my brother and I, and she said, nobody's coming to save you. She said, you have to find a way to legitimize yourself. She said, you're an owner's kid in a family business, so what are you going to do to legitimize yourself? What's your 5-year plan to get where you want to go? And that was a pivotal moment for me. That was like, okay, if I want to do it, I'm going to have to make my own plan. I'm going to have to go get my own help. And so she hooked me up with another awesome woman business coach that was an HR coach. So I went through a 2-year coaching program with her. And I found that 5-year plan last year. And I had completed everything on it. So it was like get a master's, join some kind of board. I'm on the CTDA board now. And join our leadership team with some of the things that was on it. So she was just a great person. And the HR business coach that I worked with, she was really instrumental because she would just invite me to all kinds of places and let me tag along with her, introduce me to people. And that way, when I walked into a room, I saw a friendly face, and they would then in turn invite me to things. But that's how they were impactful to me.
Awesome, awesome. So how do you create space for women in Louisville Tile and create a structure that allows for balance, self-awareness, emotional intelligence, empathy, and vulnerability in the workplace?
Yeah, I'm all about self-awareness. So working with different business coaches, they love to give you assessments. So I've taken about every kind of assessment that there is. And we have a wonderful continuous improvement executive on our team who's a woman, and she is really great at coaching and giving assessments and helping create self-awareness on our team. So that's one way that we do that. I have monthly mentoring sessions with my team where we all pick different topics about life. I let them take turns leading the session, but we've now got 3 C-suite positions on our leadership team that are women. And I try to connect them with other women that I've met here. Several of them came to the Women in Floor Covering Industry event yesterday. So I know what it's like to be the only woman in a room full of men. A lot of networking and roundtable groups I'm on that are construction industry related. I'm the only one in there. So I've learned to become accustomed to it, but if I can invite somebody along with me that's at Louisville Tile, then hopefully they'll be more comfortable attending those things, maybe if I'm not with them next time. So that's how I try to help create space for them and make them feel more comfortable.
Awesome.
Also, I'm a working mom, so I try, if there's other moms that need to leave and do stuff, or even just other parents, I try to just be really understanding about that stuff. We have a very family-friendly culture, and I think that helps as well.
You're such a model for what needs to be done in this country, overall, in the tile industry or elsewhere. So I know that Louisville Tile is also partnering with another prominent woman, Jennifer Farrell. And there's a series of NTCA training events at Louisville Tile this summer with Jennifer. Can you talk a little bit about what's happening?
Yeah, so Jennifer's here in the middle of the room, Jennifer Farrell. We are doing 3 NTCA events this summer in Minneapolis, Chicago, and Nashville. And the theme is bridging the gap between designers and contractors. So it's focused towards, the women demographic, but also bringing in the contractor side to help educate women on the technical side of design, and also help enhance the communication between designer and contractor. So somebody doesn't design something that's totally beautiful, but then later on down the line decide that it's technically impossible. Yes. And then also, these customers don't get disappointed, and that women feel comfortable selling things that aren't so sexy, like Schluter and waterproofing and crack isolation and membranes and all that stuff. So if anybody's interested, and if you're in any of those cities, feel free to talk to Jennifer afterwards or one of us, and we'll be promoting that stuff on our social media if anybody's interested. But it's a free event, and education for both sides of the project there.
Great. I'll be in Chicago.
That's great. I'd love to see you there.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So Angie, you identify your role in the industry as making women feel loved and heard. So what experiences in your journey led you to this passion, and how are you doing this?
So I'm a baby of 6. If you know me, you know that I definitely identify as the favorite child and the only child. That being said, I have 3 amazing sisters, and I think everyone deserves a sister, like my sisters. They've loved me, they've challenged me, never judged me, and I think that this is such a small world, women in the tile, stone, whatever, where it's just such a small world. And we don't need to gatekeep. We don't need to, we can support someone else who's doing exactly the same thing as us. And I just want to be that. Love a woman where she's at. I don't need to love her potential. I don't need to love her 5 years from now. I want to love you now. I want to support you now. And I want to work with you and climb to the top together or watch you climb while I'm over here, taking care of a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old. Yeah.
So you've had a lot of experience, a very diverse experience coming to where you are right now. Tell us a little bit about how that's prepared you for your work right now.
Yeah, so I originally started at Details Tile in the Dallas area. I needed a job, and it was when Craigslist was still cool, right? That's where you went to go look for a job. But I'm 27, so 27 forever. Side note on that.
Me too.
Yes, we're all 27 up here. And it was just for a showroom position, answering phones and directing people. And then it just evolved into, I always like to say that I was raised by installers. I'm an interior designer, a trained interior designer, but I started my career backwards with project management, handling all of the material ordering. So I started off knowing everything about the tile industry on the construction side, the project management side. So it's one of those things where I think that I learned how to mix X77 before I learned how to do, lighting and colors and what textures mean and what lighting and textures and colors do with each other. And it's just been such a crazy adventure. I think we can all attest that the construction industry is really weird and fun and exciting.
So you mentioned in the pre-panel interview that you have a couple of mentors that mean a lot to you, your mom and someone who's in this room. Can you talk a little bit about how they've lifted you up and supported you?
Yeah, so my mom, what is this? Aww. Who does this? Love you, Mommy. She's watching. So my mom is a Cuban refugee. She came here in the early 60s with a program called the Peter Pan Children. And she was one of 14,000 unaccompanied minors. She was 11, didn't see her mother until she was about 17. But at that point, I mean, where were you at 17? Can you just imagine? I can't. So she's amazing. She was a single mom, raised us, raised me. If you know me, you need to hug my mom later. Yes. And everyone knows Michelle Winters. She is a little vertebrae in my spine that just keeps me up and focused and balanced and hypes me up everywhere from, hey, this client is not paying me, Michelle, what do I do? And she's like, let's go. Let me call them. Let's do it. To what do I do with a preteen? My 9-year-old's being a jerk to me. What do I do? And she's like, okay, this is what you do. And it's just, she's been fantastic. And of course, through Women of the Flooring Business, it's just been such an amazing place to have that unspoken sisterhood and be able to really grow within the industry without having to be ashamed of where you're standing, where you are, your family background, everything that you've gone through. It's just been awesome.
Thank you, Angie. So Raven. Yeah. You had both encouragement from your family and were entrusted with grown-up tasks almost from your infancy. And you took on responsibilities early on that seemed to set your path. So share how that encouragement and your passion shaped your career and your service with Nayway.
Well, I like to say I've been in the construction industry for 49 years. So the red dump truck in that one photo, I rode on the floorboards of that as a baby. My grandma was the driver. Wow. I was never told by my family that I couldn't do anything. I was told I could do whatever I wanted to do. And when I was 3, I learned how to shift the dump truck Sometimes we went to first to reverse, but my uncle dealt well with that. And when I was 8, I was following Grandpa around all the time. So I was out there with the transit stick or helping fix stuff because I could fit in places. And small town, we had no clue. We didn't know what was out there. We didn't know what opportunities there were. I just knew I wanted to go to college. I had a really phenomenal teacher in high school that encouraged me to look into engineering. I did 1 semester of civil engineering, and South Dakota State University started a construction management program, and I went, yes, that is it. And I'm going to do a little non sequitur back to childhood. This will make sense later. I collected rocks. They just had to catch my eye. We had ice cream buckets of them everywhere, and my dog would collect them with me. So I get into construction management, I'm going along, I graduate, move to Sioux Falls, I'm with a general contractor, and I was bored. They did not have enough for me to do. They kept giving everything to the guy who had been there forever. And the estimator at Syverson Tile said, you need to apply. I don't think they knew they were looking. And they ended up with me in September of 2000, and I went, rocks. and realized I had come home. This is my industry. This is where I was always meant to be. About 10 years ago, I joined NAWIC, National Association of Women in Construction. Steve Syverson wanted me to join for networking opportunities, and I said, okay, but you're going to support me. And then I started getting active and stuff, and he went, what are you doing? But they have been really supportive, really encouraging, and they see the growth in me. Steve will be one who will say that I've always had my voice, but I have learned to temper the sarcasm with some professionalism, sometimes. But NAWIC has really helped me come out of my shell. I am an introvert. 10 years ago, if someone said, will you sit on a panel? I'll sit in the audience. And NAWIC has helped me realize that I don't have to be a wallflower. I can be a leader as an introvert. I can be the one out there inspiring others. And I love the events we do that reach out to kids. Because I always pick the shy, quiet one over in the corner. Or the weird one, because I identify with that too. And I love to encourage them to see themselves stepping out of their comfort zone and moving forward. The last 11 years of my life since my divorce, we seem to have a theme with bad relationships.
I hope not.
I have really been looking at, that's outside my comfort zone. Let's go do it. And seeing what is out there and exploring the world. And NAWIC has been a big part of being comfortable doing that.
Great, great. So how on your job do you lift women up or support women? And what assumptions in this industry do you think need to change?
I really, I try to support everyone. Everyone needs encouragement at all points in time. Most of us are just bebopping along out there doing the best we can and need that little positive encouragement. And you never know when what you say can impact someone's life in a positive way and change their trajectory. I just hope that I am doing my part to make one person's life better. As far as what assumptions I think really need to change, to me, that ties into our workforce issues. We have so many people out there that don't see themselves as doing this because they've never been told they can. And we need to quit doing workforce development the same way we've always done it. We need to be thinking outside that box and showing people you can do this. Hey, you grew up below the poverty line. I can show you a way out of that. That's not going to cost you thousands of dollars that you'll never be able to pay back, that can give you a positive trajectory for your future, for your family, and give you a sense of pride. I have a lot of people look at me and say, why construction? And to me, I look at things and I go, I had a part in that. I'm making someone's life better. And sharing that makes people go, I want to make someone's life better. And I think we really need to revisit our marketing and be showing people non-traditional in these roles so they start to subconsciously think, yes, I can. That is my big thing. I'm stubborn and hard-headed, so as soon as somebody says, you can't do that, I'm giving you, watch me.
Yes.
So you have some programs in NAWIC that reach out to young people, right?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
So we have a couple. We have the NAWIC Education Foundation that does K through 12 programs. Some of them require a NAWIC chapter to be a sponsor. We do a building block contest where we turn them loose with 100 Legos and tell them to build something construction related. And we have judges out there talking to them. And that's the big part, is the explanation and that encouragement. We try to do like one judge for 4 kids. And then the judges go back and argue over who wins. That usually takes longer than the build. And they win they compete in person at the local level. Those judge write-ups get sent to regional where they can win again. Whoever wins at region is sent on to national, and they get to win an iPad if they win there. And we're trying to show them that construction is a good career, and we're there talking to the parents the whole time. My chapter does something every year during Women in Construction Week. We bring 100 8th grade girls in connection with the AGC and the Career and Technical Institute to the Career and Technical Institute. We break them into groups of 20, and they get 5 different hands-on stations. The last 2 years, we've had tile stations. And it is the most involved I've seen them. And it is so cool to get them out and separate from the boys. Because if the girls are there with the boys, they're standing in a corner giggling. I can always tell when a boy walks by, because the whole class goes, So getting them separate, they get in there, they get hands-on, and they get messy, and it's awesome. And we're showing them that they can do this.
Thank you. Thank you all, actually, for your stories. So on our slide, we have some pressing issues for women in the industry today and how they can be addressed by the industry, culture, or women themselves. And I just am wondering, you all can see that, which ones are the most important to you and why? I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to talk about that.
I'll say willingness to listen. You know, in Wi-Fi, we have a mentoring program, and I'm mentoring a young lady right now. She's in the carpet fiber industry, and it has nothing to do, what we talk about has nothing to do with flooring, but she has a hard time feeling like she gets people to listen to her ideas. So I think giving space for people who are maybe less confident or newer into the workforce, or just women in general, giving them a space to share their ideas and feel like they're being heard is a really good start.
Great. Thank you, Crosby. That is really important.
I would say harmonious coexistence. As a Gen Xer, I really felt like there was a lot of scarcity when I first got into this industry, but I feel like with the millennials and Gen Z, it's really made a lot more collaboration normal, sharing of information normal, and celebration of each other rising together or rising up and not being a threat. I really feel like there's been a major shift in that vibe.
Great. That's good news. Yeah.
I would like to say zero tolerance on bullying. I grew up overweight for most of my life. I've lost 100 pounds over my end of my 20s and 30s, and the perspective I could give you on how people are when you're overweight, or you don't look the way that they want you to, or you don't present yourself the way that they want you to. And then the reason why people bully is because they want to be authentic, and people that are authentic get bullied because they're being themselves, and everybody just wants to be themselves. We all just want to be able to be who who we are. We were all raised by different parents and different cultures and different backgrounds. And so I stand for absolutely zero, because I want people to understand that when you are bullying someone, it is actually your own insecurities and your own soul that's bruised and broken. And so when you project that out onto someone else, you're rallying them to come into your hurt. And I don't think so. I won't have it. So when you are hurt or broken, you got to open up the vulnerability, and then that's when the bullying will stop, is when you can be vulnerable. And anybody that sees bullying, I want you to be able to stand up and stop it immediately. Do not sit by. Do not sit and say, oh, someone else will take care of it. No, they won't. If you say they'll take care of it, and you say they'll take care of it, and you say they'll take care of it, no one's taking care of it. So if you see it, just put that vulnerability jacket on and you mix it all on out.
Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else?
I would like to take awareness of biases and working to overcome them. We have done some training in the NAWIC National Board about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it amazes me how many unconscious biases I have. And it is difficult in the workplace. A big one of mine is that the guys need to be taken care of because they aren't capable. I know when I get back on Monday, I have to fill the printer with paper and go restock the paper. I just know it. And I'm stealing their dignity when I'm doing that. And it was one of those things that I wasn't even aware that I was doing and that I was treating them that way. So becoming aware of those things that we don't even know are there is a huge bit of self-work I've been focusing on.
Thanks, Raven. Yeah. Angie, is there something on your heart?
I think respect for experience and abilities combined with the harmonious coexistence. I'm a big advocate of supporting women, and whatever it is that you're doing, if I follow your business page, I'm going to share it. I'm going to support you. I'm going to do whatever I can do. If I can create an event and help promote, then that's what I'm going to do. But I'm also going to give myself a pat on the back and be able to be proud of my achievements without being, oh, I'm super cool, which I am, but it's not the point, right? And being able to, all of us, we've all done such amazing things, and we've all come so far in our careers and our personal lives. And so it's just, I encourage everyone to be proud of yourself, brag, make your own flyer and stick it up on Facebook,
Toot your own horn. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody. So don't worry, you don't really have to memorize this or even see it. There is a handout, and I'm told that it is on, if you go to the session on the app, you can download the handout. If you don't want to do that, you can email me, Lesley, Lesley, at tile-ASSN, and I will send it to you. So now, we're getting a little long here, and I do want to do a drawing for these. So what I'm going to just say that if you have questions, to come up afterwards. We're going to be here for a few minutes, right, afterwards. So if you have any questions for our panelists, just come on up at that after we're done. And are there any cards in the bowl? Could somebody bring up the bowl? Or I could come down for the bowl, I guess. I'll meet you halfway. How about that?
Oh, there's one running from the back.
Coming.
Couple
Lesley,
running from
do
the back.
they know what the puzzle is?
Why don't you explain it, Megan?
Do y'all know what the puzzle is? I mean, I know some of you do. So just to explain a little bit, because this is my project that I was just so excited about. I was sitting in my kitchen with construction paper making my son his Valentine's bookmarks, because I do bookmarks every year instead of candy. And I was playing with the construction paper, and I was like, ooh, I want to put some tiles together, because I'm a tile contractor. And my son was like, oh, Mom, let's do the stop sign shape. And then can I play with them? Will you do blue and yellow? And I was like, yeah, buddy, whatever you want. And so I spent like 4 hours cutting out all these little hand things, and I made this puzzle. I sat him down, and he put this little mosaic thing together himself, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Every kid should be doing this. And I was explaining, what the shape is, how to do the design, and I was like, oh, you know what? And then it just sparked my ADHD, went, I gotta do a puzzle. So I made a puzzle. I spent the next 4 days. I took 4 days off of work. The homeowners probably didn't love that. But I took the next 4 days off of work and just like dove into this and ended up making 30, and I sent them to a contractor, and I was like, here, give these to your kids, your school, your whatever. And then all of a sudden, the NTCA was just like, come on. And I got with Michelle Chapman, who has not been able to grace us with her presence. I love her, but she actually spearheaded this with me. I basically gave everything to her, and she got with the printers and designed the whole thing. I did the directions and stuff myself on my laptop, and it was really bad, and she took it over and made sure, because I'm not a computer person.
Collaboration.
But it has directions, and it goes through a different couple mosaics, and it tells your child how to set them up. And this is for ranges from like 2 to 6 to 8, very, very small. But it's something that your parents, when you have a contractor coming into your home and your kids see the contractor, they want to know what's going on. This is for the parents to be involved with their kids, saying this is what they're installing in our bathrooms. And it's just one little extra thing that I want my community to be like, no, when you go and you hire a tile contractor, you want an experience. And this woman is going to show up, she's going to cater to your kids, she's going to give your dog a bone, she's going to take your wife out to lunch, and she's going to make sure that your shoes are at the door when you need to go to work, honey.
And you're going to fill out some cards for us.
Okay.
And I just want to let you know that at the store at NTCA, tile-assn.com, you can actually purchase these. They come in packs of 10. And all of the funds go towards Women in Tile. So if you decide that you'd like some, go to the website and buy them. So pick 3 cards.
All right, who's it? They were going to make Mason do this, but he's so zoned that I think that it would bother him. Oh, yes!
And it is?
Kathy Case.
Kathy Case. What up?
She gave me an award on Monday, and so this is just fitting. So that's why I'm excited. That's awesome. Or she presented me
There
with
you go, sure. Okay, number 2?
Ooh, this one feels cool. Ooh, ADHD.
Let's do it.
Jenny Mikovsky
Makovsky.
from Tile and Designs, Inc.
Is Jenny here? Jenny's not here.
Where did this card come from?
Pick
Who put
another.
this card in here? I want this cool feeling one. Teresa Beck.
Yay!
Bingo.
Well, it's fitting.
We don't have a Jenny Mikovsky? No? All right, I'll do another one.
One more.
That's all right. Yeah, that one. That's the one. Haley Sproul.
Yay! Come on up. Throw them back in there.
And on the NTCA, there's an option
you.
to have, if you have a business logo, I don't yet because I'm still a young business, but if you have a business logo, you can actually have that printed on the puzzle itself. So if you are that developed, or I'm just a single, you can buy the individuals without.
You can personalize it. So, yeah, great. Thank you, Megan. And thank you. Let's have a round of applause for all our panelists. And I'm going to leave you with 2 inspirations. One, this mosaic piece by artist Mia Tavenati. Wales is one of over 35,000 works of art, music, poetry, writings, and theater archived in miniature on what's called the Lunar Codex, which was sent to the moon in February of this year. So a majority of the works are by women, artists and creators. And this is the first mosaic to be archived on the moon. So women truly are out of this world. And second, in closing and with thanks, this quote by Lily Gladstone speaks to me about the sisterhood gathered here today. Gladstone is the first Native American to be nominated for Best Actress by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and was the first Native American woman to win the Golden Globe for the Best Female Actor in her performance, Killers of the Flower Moon. Her profound quote in The New Yorker refers to strides being made for Native Americans, and it is also an inspiring call to action for women to open doors for our sisters and welcome women to the many opportunities the tile industry offers. So I don't know, it's kind of a light background, so I'm going to read it. If I've kicked the door in, I'm just trying to stand here and leave it open for everybody else. Amen, amen. Congratulations, Lesley, and thank you everyone for coming today. Enjoy the rest of the conference.